Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Connecting Life podcast, and I'm your host, Dianaboskma. I'm here to help you connect the dots of life so that you can live your best life in a healthy and fulfilling way. Today, I'm not going to interview anybody. Today, I'm going to take you on a little journey inside your own body, and specifically into this fascinating world of the microbiome, which I find one of the most interesting things. So don't worry, I will not go all sciencey on you. It's just, I'm going to do it simple, practical, and hopefully inspire you to get a bit more interested in the microbiome. So by the end of this, you'll understand a bit more about why your microbiome is the foundation of your health and what matters when it goes off balance. What you need to do then, things will become different, and it's all really doable, and you can help your microbiome every single day. So, what is your microbiome? So, just think about a city. There's millions of people all doing their own jobs: bakers, builders, rubbish collectors, doctors, teachers, name it. And basically, that's what's inside of you. Right now in your gut and all over your body, there's not one place in your body where there's no microbiome. And what you have there is trillions of bacteria, yeasts, and viruses, and they're all working together. And the interesting thing is that when you really start thinking about it, is that you're more microbiome than human. So when you start thinking about the cells that you have, only 43% is human, and the rest are microbes. So technically, you're basically a community project that's walking and talking. So what the amazing thing is with your microbiome is that the magic is in the diversity. So the healthiest microbiomes are a bit like the city that I talked about before, because there's lots of variety, many coaches, restaurants, shops, services, all sorts of stuff is there. And when diversity is lost, like when you also have, when you only have fast food chains in a town, then the whole system is kind of not doing very well. And that happens in your gut as well. And unfortunately, what happens with modern diets and, lots of medication, stress, processed foods and all that, a lot of the variety gets changed. Now, when you start thinking about when they did a study at some point, and they compared people from the Amazon with people from Africa with people from the Western world, and they found that people in the Amazon, they were healthier, much healthier, and they also had a much bigger variety, and that about half of it was with the African people who were in villages, and in Western world people had even less of a variety. And that variety we need, because it's so important for our mental health, our physical health, because our microbiome helps us digest our food. We on our own can't do it. We need the microbiome to do it. It takes nutrients out, it creates nutrients, it makes all sorts of other compounds that we need in our body. So it's a really, really nifty system. So why should you care? Well, it's not just about the digestion of food, as I already said, but an important part is the gut-brain axis. And that's why you can feel the things like butterflies when you're nervous. So, stress can send you rushing to the toilet as well, because about 70% of your immune system is in your gut. And there's so much going on there. So if your microbiome is out of balance, you end up with bloating, you end up with, rashes, low mood, difficulty with weight. And it's not about willpower, because your microbes are just not getting what they need, so they give signals, then they ask for things. So it's a really, really complex, big thing. So a traditional diet has a very different way of nourishing us. So one of the things is that has really been very interesting for me. I've really been digging into that. And there was at some point a dentist, a medical professional who traveled with his wife around the world in the 1930s, and he visited communities that were still eating their traditional diet. And that was a diet that had fermented dairy, sourdough breads, fermented veg, fish eggs, organ meats, all sorts of things. And what he noticed was that these people, it's actually a really big book. I've read it completely at some point for a study that I did. And these people had incredibly good teeth. Literally hardly any cavities. It depended a bit on which group he was visiting, but some had pretty much no cavities, while modern people have loads. They also had a really good, strong immune system and were like crazy healthy in comparison to many Western people. And one of the films that really showed that for me was The Revenant. So if you ever seen that, how people in those days were just, they survived much more than we could. Anyway, so when you start comparing that with the Western diet of white flour, sugar, processed oils, these seed oils and stuff, and that creates that decline because there's no nutrients in that. Not the nutrients that we need, no vitamins, minerals in a way that we really need it. Now, traditional foods, they have all that in there. They also have a lot of prebiotics in there, which feed our microbiome, and the probiotics that give them more variety. So, lots of building blocks and everything, and that keeps that city, so to say, alive. Now, what would you be able to do? You can do it simple. You don't have to do anything really complicated. First of all, start with nourishing foods. Second of all, start feeding your microbiome. How do you do that? First of all, fermented foods, sauerkraut, milk kefir, water kefir, yogurt, kombucha, all these kind of things. And just, a little bit, forkful, tablespoonful, and build it up as you go. There's no need to right away go with lots because you don't want to have die-off either, so you want to take it slow. Start with a little bit and see how that goes. When it feels like it's a lot, back off. So when you for instance take 2 tablespoons of yogurt and you have this thing of, ooh, this becomes really rumbly in my tummy, back it off, make it less. Now, most of us have been eating yogurt for quite some time and don't have any trouble with it. Some of us really haven't and really need to start really slow. Then the other thing is bone broth or meat stock. Those are really good because they help heal the gut lining. It's also lots of minerals, microbes love it, and healing the gut lining is really important because that also makes sure that your microbiome can be healthy in there. And then diversity. Eat as much variety as possible. Look into what prebiotic foods are, eat some of those, and you get to go. Herbs, spices, they're all great. Basically everything that you eat feeds your microbiome in a different way. And then good fats. Butter, ghee, olive oil, they're all really good for digestion and absorption. And then one thing that's super important is to eat slowly. Don't rush your meals. Chew really well. Because when you don't chew well, food comes in big chunks down. That means that there's a lot more work to be done. And when you've chewed it really well, your microbes get really happy and they can just do their job and just work on it, and you get more out of your food. So that's it. That was the little tour that I wanted to give you, why these things matter, how you can support it. And basically what you're doing is that you and your microbiome work together to keep you as healthy as possible. So it's like a partnership. You got to be friends with the microbes in there. Basically like, you have pets inside instead of in your house. So feed them well, and they will look after you. They will look after your energy, your mood, your immune system. And if you'd like to learn more, feel free to message me. I'm always available to help you out with things. I work with people as a life coach and as a health coach to help them with their microbiome and other things in their lives. So you can join my newsletter, sign up for that, watch some other videos that I've created over time. Sign up for some of the mini courses that I've created. They're going just by email, nothing too big. It's just, 5 days, 7 days, depending a bit on which one. So there's a lot for you to explore. Have a look and let me know how you feel. And till next time.